I was
That was a decent sentence. Come on, man.
Yeah.
They're like, well, how do you feel about not that young? It's like, yo, I love you.
Dude, yeah. She's not even milk.
But it sounded like you. So, yeah.
I'm lactose intolerant. You guys are great. Gosh.
This is the forecast.
Let's go. Fantasy forecast time.
Congratulations to Nate. He's been promoted.
Promoted.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was before,
Senior
whatever we are.
analyst of fantasy forecasting.
No, he's the news anchor now.
News anchor, maybe I like that. Man, well, let's hop into some news
We're
then.
gonna start with you with the news.
Yeah, well, it's only been a week since we saw you guys last, so, there's not a whole lot of major things going on. There's two things I'd like to touch on. We got bad boy Jared Goff, big time extension. Big contract extension, man. He's the fourth highest paid quarterback in the league now. I think he makes $51 million annually, with like 3/4 of that guaranteed. Pretty much locks him into a tier. Like, I'm taking him above Dak and Tua now. Like, I put him at the front of that just because I know what the long term longevity of it is.
Screw you, Herndon Hooker drafters.
Yeah, Hendon Hooker, you can probably go ahead and treat him like any other backup quarterback. There's no long term value there besides for when he gets to play.
How many people saw it working out that way when they traded him? Everybody
Nobody.
was acting like, well, the Rams traded. They really screwed Detroit on this one.
Yeah.
The Goff's going to be replaced in 2 years.
Yep, I don't think this is a hot take.
Real quick.
Yeah, I don't think it's a hot take, but it's probably the greatest, most fair trade ever in NFL history. I mean, the Rams got a Super Bowl out of it.
Yeah.
Detroit is relevant for the first time in my life, pretty much. Like, my adult life for sure. Like, they've played 2 playoff games, maybe 1. But, yeah. So, good for Jared Goff, good for the Lions, good for people who own him. The other news is today was the first day of training camp for the Minnesota Vikings, and Justin Jefferson was nowhere to be found.
Like actual training camp. Or
I think it was just the first
OTAs
day
or
where they,
something,
like OTAs,
voluntary.
voluntary stuff. But yeah, he didn't show up, which is, expected. He's waiting on that contract. I wouldn't expect him to show up until he gets paid. I don't think he wants to be traded. I don't think they want to trade him. I think they've probably sold him on McCarthy by now. Like, they probably sold him on it before they drafted him, honestly. Otherwise, he probably would have forced their hand on something else. But yeah, that's pretty much everything in the last week that's needs to be talked about.
Yeah.
You forgot to mention Devontae Parker.
Yeah.
Oh, I did forget Devontae Parker
his
retired just before the stream.
Jacob's boy.
I did. I had a football card of him. I literally bought it intentionally just because I liked him. I did that with a lot of people, like Gardner Minshew and stuff like that too.
Well, shout out to Devontae Parker for a career.
Yeah.
He did have a NFL career, made
He
some money.
had one good year.
He had that awesome year for the Bucks, maybe.
No, it was the Dolphins.
Oh
And
yeah,
the,
that's a good year.
The year he had a quarterback who was willing to just toss it up to him.
Yeah,
and make the play.
Fitzmagic.
Everybody looked good with Fitz there. Heck yeah, man.
So we're not going to say anything about that other thing that happened. Okay, we're cool with that. Yeah,
Yeah, that works for me. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah,
because they're turning the freaking frogs gay.
Oh.
That's why. Well, we didn't really come up with a topic, so we're just going to talk about Reddit because me and Nate have Reddit addictions.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time on Reddit, so I see a lot of what you guys are talking about.
So actually, I made a post last week about our episode last week.
Yeah.
The weird thing was it got only 22 upvotes, 188 comments.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting all that. I mean, I didn't think we. I'm sure most of these people didn't watch the video. They
That's
just
what
read
I'm
your.
saying.
They
That's
just
what
read your post, which is okay. But yeah,
I don't
man.
know how many of them took the rookie fever test, but I'm sure they would fail it. I'm sure we got
The
a lot
vast
of
majority of
people that-
Reddit was Team Rookie Fever.
Yeah.
The one that was flooring me was how many people. Actually, that's a top comment right here, I think. But how many people were so against Anthony Richardson and so in favor of Kate Williams?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, I mean, I'm pretty sure when we talked about it, I took Caleb over Richardson. And we talked about it, so we don't need to go super into depth, but really it was just so mind-blowing to me to see how many people were locked solid and not willing to even acknowledge the fact that it could be the other one. Like, we could, in 9 months, we could call the other person an idiot on either side of this.
Yeah.
Which obviously is also stupid because none of us know nearly as much as we think we do as fantasy football players.
None of us are good.
The one guy.
That's a fact.
If we were good, we would actually be working for maybe an NFL team.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if we were any good, we'd know what we were talking
The
about.
one guy though that really made me laugh was he said something like, "If you're taking Anthony Richardson over
Caleb?
you're just bad at fantasy." And you really think a lot of yourself.
Yeah, and that's crazy because for me, I took Caleb. We just talked about this.
Yeah.
But you can definitely make the argument that Anthony Richardson could be the number one quarterback in fantasy this year. Yeah, you guys made that argument. And I agree with that argument, too. There's probably 5 or 6 guys that I think have a chance of being the number one quarterback on a given year. And I'm throwing him into that tier right now because what we saw was the highest points per game ever for a quarterback in his, 3.5 total games that he played, like gameplay-wise. So super small sample, but I didn't see anything bad as far as fantasy goes. He's just going to score a bunch of points when he's on the field.
The other one that we did, there's another post. We're going to the next post. We're just talking about Reddit today, by the way, because we couldn't think of anything. And
we're drawing from the community, man. Keep giving us the content.
I think it's an important thing to do because there's a lot of bad takes on there, and people literally just need to be humbled. Like, dude, these guys are they have wild things. Like, they just make bold accusations, no context. And then and then y'all just go back on it, and you're like, yeah, I agree. Like, what are you doing, man?
I think
whoever they are, I feel like people are just posting the guy that they have on their team.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest takeaway from this is if you're in the comments on Reddit, you need to take everything not with a grain of salt. Like, I'm talking a bag, 40-pound bag of salt, because anybody hyping somebody up that's not showing advanced metrics or some kind of statistic to back up their take that is, neutral. It's a neutral take. It's just showing you the facts and what's happening. Mm-hmm. If they're not showing you that, they just own them. They're just on their team. Yeah. Well, I have Trevor Lawrence. I really think he's great. That's all it is.
I just traded 3 firsts for 101 to get Caleb Williams. He's going to be great.
They're really.
I agree. Where's the context? Man?
I think people can talk themselves into anything once they have the
plan. Yeah, absolutely.
That's what Dak. Which one was it? We're going with Dak or Tua, because we had Tua versus McCarthy last week. So we're gonna do the same thing because these were just posts that happened today. Yeah. One of them was Dak or Tua, and then 10 minutes later somebody posted JJ McCarthy versus Tua. So we'll just combine all 3 of them. If we're gonna add Dak into that conversation that we had last week,
Tua's.
Are you gonna change? Are you? Who would you rather have? Tua, Dak, or McCarthy? If we're adding Dak into it, would you guys change your vote? Because I would. I would rather have Dak over all.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Dak over Tua or McCarthy. He just scores fantasy points, man. Yeah. He's just out there just slinging that thing.
I think Dak and Tua is a very comparable argument. I'd probably go Tua just because I think they
because you have one on your team.
That's what it is. That's got to be.
Dude, he's in the division. We hate Dak, okay?
That's fair, yeah. But I do not like Dak.
I like the offense with Tua. I think it's just RPOs, let them run, and I think he's got a great offense to do that, and he's just going to get points. I think a lot of people make that argument with not having the passing yards, but if he can just get those touchdowns at the end of and Raheem Mostert doesn't steal them all. No. I mean, he didn't really steal them; he earned them. But if he can get those touchdowns to match the passing yards, that's like buku points.
Yeah. But what I noticed from Dak is the Dallas Cowboys want him to get an MVP. I think.
Oh, they are just
what do they call it? Garbage. What do they call when you just keep scoring? You don't have to run it up the score.
Yeah, running it up. Yeah. Oh yeah.
There was one game I forget. Maybe it was.
They did it against the Niners.
Yeah, playoffs.
They tried.
They did their best. That was actually really crazy because we saw Dak and CeeDee just tearing people up down the back half of the season. Everybody. They walked right into that game, and I remember watching the first half and being like,
"What the?"
CeeDee had 1 catch for 9 yards, and I was like, "What is happening right now? This is crazy stuff." But yeah, I mean, and that's kind of goes back to what we were talking about is there's no reason for us to be so set on Dak versus Tua or something like that. They're close enough that it's you can have a gut feeling and you can look at your statistics and stuff, but it's not going to surprise me one way or the other if one of them outscores the other this year. They're in the same range where if you ask me to trade one for the other, I want the side that's getting something else on top, even if it's a 3rd round pick, because they're that close to me.
Dak scored more points last year. I think you would have to say he's probably going to score more points this year.
That would be my projection.
Tua's a little bit younger.
Yeah, and I don't think Dallas is going to be scoring much in the running game unless – I mean, I like Zeke as much as the next guy, but, I mean, I don't think he's going to pound 10 rushing touchdowns in. I don't think Rico Dowdle is going to be doing that either. And
Deuce Vaughn.
Deuce Vaughn might fall half an inch into the end zone, and that's a full stretch for him.
We're really going to bring height into it. Jeez, man.
Heightism. I do hate on the short kings out there. That's my bad, guys.
The next one we're looking at here is IU versus London. Nate, are you taking London on this?
Yeah, I'm gonna take London, man.
Somebody has to do it.
Somebody's gotta argue for him. I'll definitely take London here. But I can see why people wouldn't. I mean, if you have Ayuk, you're not trading him for Drake London. Like, if you already have him on your team, I don't know many people that would do that. Yeah. Just because if you already have Ayuk, you're probably pretty confident he's able to repeat the success he had last year. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of the same argument that people have against Brock Purdy about it's too efficient. I've just watched them do it. It's what the Niners do. Yeah. They score a lot of points, no matter who has the ball. They just score fantasy points. They score real NFL points. They rack up yards. They win football games. Like, that's what they do.
Yeah. He was the best receiver. He was the best receiver, too.
Yeah, I won't argue against that. My argument for London would probably just be I'm taking the upside. Yeah. I feel like what we saw from Ayuk last year is, I don't want to say it's his ceiling, but in that offense, if he doesn't get traded this year, I think that probably is his ceiling, what he did last year, because I don't think any one player on that team, besides for Christian McCaffrey, is good enough to earn way more opportunities than anybody else. It's just a supremely talented team. Yeah. And really, the Falcons are a similar build as far as all the talent on offense. Mm-hmm. It's just, I think Drake London has shown me enough in his, obviously, if you've had Drake London the last 2 years, you're not happy as a fantasy scoring asset. He hasn't been scoring fantasy points. He doesn't have a 1,000-yard season yet. He hasn't hit double-digit touchdowns, so he's not providing you what you've hoped. But I like him just for the upside and where the community is. Like, just as a tradable piece, London is just, the name right now has all the juice in the world.
He got all the hype.
So much hype.
People love this guy when he came out as a rookie, and he just still has that, even though he hasn't shown anything.
And I think that's a good lesson to take is some of these guys, all three of those guys from that draft class that have kind of underproduced but shown their talent have held insane value so far.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of times whenever these guys get all this hype, I almost just always want to go to the other side. Yeah. And just be like, let these guys fend off or and trade all this crazy amount of capital away for these Drake Londons and whatnot. But I just think you have so much to lose whenever you don't go Ayuk. Because Ayuk's proven it, and I'm always down for proven players. He's proven it. And I just think if you trade away Ayuk for London or something like that, then you're the one to lose. Yeah. And I just don't want to be put in that position.
The thing about London for me is I don't get why there's two guys that you just mentioned. Why is he above? I don't think he's above Garrett Wilson.
He's above Olave in a lot of lists I've seen.
But Olave has already done it.
Yeah,
I agree. He has. I think that's just the Kirk Cousins boost, in my opinion. I mean, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but he was wide receiver 25, 26 on Keep Trade Cut. Mm-hmm. I think he got all the way up to wide receiver 8 at one point on Keep Trade Cut after the Cousins news broke. So if you traded him for that value,
I'm pretty sure when we talked,
good job.
That's what it was. It was the same thing with Kyle Pitts. He's gone up way a lot just because of the Kirk Cousins stuff.
I said it before. Everybody blames Arthur Smith for these guys weren't able to produce, and I'm not confident that's what it is. Maybe it's possible they're just not that good. Not as good as what everybody thought that they were. Yeah. As far as tight end goes, Pitts, for example.
I know my brother Josh. He hates Pitts. Yeah. So he traded Pitts for Goddard and some other stuff, but it's you kind of worked that one out. So because that was 2 years ago when he first drafted him, I think, and it's just you've obviously gotten way more points out of Goddard than Pitts.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Kyle Pitts, the same thing. If you had him, you were a little disappointed this year.
Well, London, he wasn't getting the targets either, so...
I mean, it's...
And actually, probably, compared to Ayuk, they probably have similar targets.
Yeah, probably. They're probably in that right around 100 targets for the season range, which isn't elite, but just good.
I think I'm also Ayuk's the type of player to get open and catch the ball. Drake London's not really the route runner yet, so
yeah. He's definitely a big-bodied Mike Evans type, like I've talked about before.
I think the possession and like getting open type guys, they last longer and they just have more guaranteed points.
Yeah. By the way, if you search in this post by controversial, there's the top one.
From you? Ayuk, and as much as I hate the phrase, it's not close.
I love the person who said like they're not even in the same country. That one got me. That one's a good one. Yeah. It's not in the same country.
You can't say something funny.
That is funny.
It is. They're just like, no, I don't agree with you even if it's funny. Screw you.
Yeah.
Reddit makes no sense to me.
Speaking of how dumb people are on Reddit, I'm going to let you take over for this one.
Uh-oh.
Player you see improving. Oh, no. Where did it go? I'll bring it up. But what was it that you had to say?
Either way, I can still talk about it a little bit. But, just players that, like, we think will improve going forward was the post on there. And the top comment was Will Levis because they've invested in the offense and, new head coach is offensive-minded. He's got all these weapons. But the problem for me is he's already gotten that boost. Like, his stock can't go much higher without him taking a jump as a player himself. So if you don't believe in Will Levis, really, I mean, in my opinion, it's why would I not trade him right now? His value has already went up to the point for me where it's like he's in that range where I'm just going to get out of him I'd rather have Michael Penix right now. If I can get an early second-round pick or something like that. I mean, I've seen him in my leagues get traded for late first-round picks already in this offseason because people are saying, oh, my gosh, Calvin Ridley. Mm-hmm. He's got D-Hop still. They just signed what's the running back guy?
Tony Pollard.
Yeah, Tony Pollard. I mean, they are investing, and I talked about it on our last episode too. I love that. That's what they should be doing.
Yeah.
They're doing everything they can to give Will Levis the opportunity, but I think that rise that we saw coming has already happened. This is kind of what we talked about earlier with player or fantasy players just being like, oh yeah, the guy I have on my team totally going up this year. Yeah. And that's kind of a fallacy that happens in sports a lot where people think things can only get better. Like, oh yeah, our defense was really good last year. Like we had a top 5 defense and we added this receiver on our offense. Now we're going to have a top 10 offense and a top 5 defense. Yeah. Doesn't mean your defense is going to stay there.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't mean that, the production is going to be there in Tennessee just because of all these things.
There's so many factors that can play into
absolutely
being better. Dude, losing Derrick Henry could just be the thing that they needed to just start sucking. It could be
maybe Will Levis doesn't have 4 guys getting wide open in the deep.
Yeah,
like his first game he had last year.
I mean, the crux of Levis's value has hinged on the fact that he is the starter going into the year. Like they didn't invest enough for me to say like it's a competition between Mason and Rudolph. They've obviously came out and said multiple times they're rolling with Levis. That's their guy. Yeah. But I mean, if you remember this time last year, the fantasy community hated Will Levis. They hated this dude. They said there's no way we're drafting him. Can't touch him.
It's the bananas thing and the mayonnaise and the coffee. I get it.
Yeah, mayonnaise in the coffee. I'm just kind of out on that. Yeah. That's just not going to work for me as a quarterback. You have to have more respect for yourself than putting mayonnaise in your coffee.
These are really the subtle things that you have to look for.
When we talk about showing real neutral facts, putting mayonnaise in his coffee is something he does every day. And if you agree with that, man, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. Trade for Will Levis. I mean, that's what you got to do in that situation.
I agree with you having your opinion, but your opinion's wrong.
And for real though, I don't mind having Harrison Butker on my team, even if he's a misogynist, or having Rasheed Rice.
Dude, if you got 96%, but from the field goal, I'll take it. Though.
Yeah, but I will not put somebody on my team that puts mayonnaise in their coffee. You got to draw a line somewhere. Yeah. You got to have some principles.
Yeah, and domestic violence isn't that principle for us, but mayonnaise and coffee. I mean. Just not going to work. Not going to fly on my roster.
Because it makes sense to me why Rasheed Rice ran from the scene of the accident.
Yeah,
he didn't want to get in trouble.
Yeah,
it makes sense to me.
Yeah,
that adds up. But I mean, he didn't want to get in trouble.
That doesn't make any sense.
No, none.
Was there one you wanted to talk about on this? You didn't look at this one, did you? Was there another one?
Scroll down a little bit. Pop Douglas was the next one.
First of all, who's Pop Douglas? I'm trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
That's my boy Demario Douglas over in New England.
He gets 35 upvotes.
35 upvotes, and all he wrote was Pop Douglas. And this isn't, I'm not just like talking crap about this guy. It's just, these are the kind of things that get posted on Reddit all the time. 35 upvotes. This is the third highest upvoted, like original post comment on here. And people are just gonna scroll down and be like, oh yeah, Pop Douglas. Oh yeah, 35 upvotes, the community likes him. And that's fine if the community likes him, but now's your opportunity to look at it and be like, okay, they just drafted 2 more receivers this year.
Yeah.
It is a totally different
Scheme.
well, not even just scheme. It's like, it's a different coach. This isn't their guy.
Yeah.
Like, the people in charge of New England did not draft
Yeah.
Pop Douglas because Bill Belichick is gone and he ran the show.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's like they came in and what they saw on tape wasn't enough for them to be like, that's our guy.
Yeah.
And I like him as a player. He's fine, but I'm not going to ignore drafting 2 more talented wide receivers that people like. So for me, it's I'm ready to
You
move.
said that it's the guy that heard about is DeMarco Douglas, right?
Demario.
Demario Douglas, yeah.
DeMario, but so that's what I was confused about actually at the first. But I see what you're saying. I watched the guy. I got a couple videos of him.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Antonio Brown
Yeah?
a lot. Both 6th-round picks, both
So
about
he
the
was
same
one
size.
of those.
You're one of those 35?
You know what? I'm gonna, oh, I can't. You're not signed in.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm banned, remember?
Your account's suspended.
Yeah.
Locked out.
I'm locked, bro.
See, now that's a comment I can at least get on board with. This A.T. Perry comment, he's posting his athletic measurables. He's posting all kinds of different, like, real neutral statistics about the player and why he feels this way about him rather than Pop Douglas.
But then the post right after it, Bo Nix thrives with Sean Payton. He talked about him being Breeze 2.0, 68 upvotes.
Yeah. 2 more down, we got Jahan Dotson, 33 upvotes. That's all. It's
just that.
like people just comment the players they have.
Yeah.
I don't see how that one has 33 upvotes. Like, haven't we seen enough from?
Yeah, I feel like the community as a whole is like, oh, Jahan Dotson.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is because the people who dislike Jahan Dotson don't just downvote Jahan Dotson when they just see his name.
Mm-hmm.
But the people who own Jahan Dotson, upvote that.
Yes.
Let me click on You think it changed once you scroll down a little bit? Like sign in?
No, I didn't try it first. I wanted to try it this time because that one should be downvoted.
Yeah. And I'm a Washington fan. Like, that coming from me, I'm a big Jaden Daniels guy, obviously, just because he's on Washington. I'm in love. You know, that's my guy. But until I see a quarterback improvement, I'm not just going to assume players get an improvement at quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, unless they're proven. Like, Kirk Cousins, like, I do think that is an obvious improvement over Desmond Ritter or Taylor Heineke.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a real improvement because I've seen him play at a high level. But, even there's some worry, you know, coming off the torn Achilles too, so.
Yeah, there's a lot of new offense.
I think that is just, as far as, like, dynasty theory goes, those are the players I want to avoid regularly is wide receivers whose value is shooting up because they got a quarterback upgrade. We watched this with Terry McLaurin over the last 5 years. Every year, Ryan Fitzpatrick is way better than the last guy. He has to be an improvement.
McLaurin finally has a good quarterback.
Taylor Heineke showed it in that one playoff game. You know, Terry McLaurin shoots up.
But you did just take London, though.
I did take London because, like I said, I think Kirk Cousins is a proven quarterback improvement.
Yeah, I think Kirk Cousins is proven. I think Drake London sucks.
Hey, and that's fair, man. If you look, by all the advanced metrics like we've been talking about, he doesn't win the way you want.
Yeah.
Not in an elite way that's going to be a top 8-ish receiver in my opinion. But I still like him.
I think the moral of the story is to just stay off of Reddit.
That's fair.
That's pretty good.
Fair.
Stay off Reddit and believe in yourself, bro. As gay as that sounded, like
you could be an inspirational speaker.
Yeah.
I will say that. I think a lot of about you being an inspirational speaker.
No,
I'm not gonna sit here and
like
stroke you here.
We're gonna be buddies. We're gonna be pals. Wait, hold on. You guys haven't
I
seen
know
that?
who that is. It's the fat guy, right?
What were you gonna say, Nate?
Yeah, that's good enough, fat guy. That's got me covered. I knew what
With
that
the weird
was.
hair or something like that. I think.
I don't remember. I don't know what I was talking about. This guy interrupted me. And,
Sorry.
Here we are.
I'm
Yeah.
going to interrupt you.
I ruined it all with my inspiration.
I'll blame his inspiration.
Is there any more? I thought there was one other one that you wanted to talk about.
No.
Motion rates?
Not for me. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have to go over it too much. This is a quality post in my opinion.
Post.
Yeah, this is a really
That's why
quality
it has
post.
8 upvotes.
Correct. Yeah, quality posts don't get upvoted very much. And it's because he's not even trying to push his point on you. He's just putting the information out there.
Graph, though. That's
what I'm saying. That's a nice graph, and it's
super nice.
And the original post, whoever posted this, I don't know if it was the same person who posted it on Twitter or not, but they specifically mentioned Dontavian Wicks, and it shows, as you can see here, his yards per route run on plays when he's in motion are insane.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's in what I would call, at minimum, very good company around Tank Dell, Jaden Reed, Rashee Rice, and Puka Nacua.
I feel like, though, if you think about it, going in motion, if you have to go in motion to get over, like, it's going to help you get over.
Yeah, I agree.
Like Tyreek, we knew he was good, but then you put him in motion,
right?
And he's a different level. Like,
and really, I think, like, to your point, this stat, or this graph rather, it's more damning for the players down low who can't get open.
Still can't get open.
With motion. Like Xavier Gibson and Jonathan Mingo and Cedric Tillman. Yeah. These are all guys where I will just move for anything. Any future pick I can get for these guys, I'm out. I'm moving on because it's just not good.
Yeah, Jonathan Mingo is...
That's rough.
Yeah.
Well, but isn't Jalen Reed better on this?
Jaden Reed?
Jaden Reed?
No.
So his yards per route run is lower, but that is his percentage of targets on plays with motion.
He gets more of the target on it, but he doesn't.
They put him in motion more often.
Well, I actually think it's just plays with motion. It doesn't even have to specifically be that player.
Oh.
At least that's how I'm reading it on the bottom there. But
yeah, let me see. Yeah, it doesn't really say.
Yeah, it doesn't specify, so that would be something that's interesting to know.
I would assume that it would.
Yeah, that would make more sense if it was players in motion.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it almost tells you what your eyes have told you too. Like what we see here, like guys like Rashee Rice, like the design plays for him all were working. They were rolling last year on those. I mean, obviously everybody knows Puka is great. Tank Dell had an awesome season. Jaden Reed had a really good year. But this shows, like, kind of to my own point from the last week about Jaden Reed and moving on from a guy like him. I mean, who's to say Dontavian Wicks isn't just a better football player and that their plans going forward don't involve him more?
He is a good football player.
Yeah, and I think Jaden Reed's a good football player too, but it's just I'm not going to make a choice there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to, just like I said earlier, I'm going to take the leverage. Whatever I can get on top of one of those guys if I was swapping them, that's what I want.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to end with a video. I wanted you to tell me
I'm gonna go get
what you do, what you would do if this happened to you. I guess it's
is this about the raccoon thing?
Yeah.
There's a raccoon
Actually, I
attack?
wanted to see this.
Okay, I'm in on raccoon attacks. I haven't seen
this. You posted a Reddit thing about it. Wild raccoon attacks. Okay,
hold on. Let's make sure we get the sound on here.
You have to. I don't have speakers. If you just play it with sound, it will have sound in the video.
Perfect.
Sound,
that's all we need.
Sound is there. Yes.
Well, listening to it is important.
Well, we can't hear it, but it is on the computer.
Man, I'll be honest. I hate standing in lines. I cannot imagine being in that line right now.
I think I'm going to go back to the goose talk. I think I can take that thing. I think one stomp to the head, it's done.
Yeah.
Dude,
the real question is, are you taking this raccoon or Deuce Vaughn?
I'm taking a raccoon.
Yeah, that raccoon, I mean, he's showing more hustle and heart.
Yeah.
I mean, look at that fighting spirit.
Even though they're about the same size, I think a raccoon just doesn't.
No, here's the thing, though, because we can't hear it, even though it's on the video. What happened was he stole that little girl's shoe.
Did he really? That's funny.
And just like Rashee Rice, that makes sense. He was fleeing the scene because he didn't want to get caught with that shoe. I mean, he knows.
I'll take that raccoon in my face.
That's why I just asked. I said, man, would you rather have that raccoon or Deuce Vaughn?
Ooh, well, I would rather have the raccoon because he doesn't have to rely on a coach to put him in.
That's what I'm saying, man. That raccoon just gets it done.
Yeah.